Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. My, how the tables have turned. The New York Post, always quick with a quip, is calling it a gold mine of hypocrisy. Former Democrat New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez went from voting to impeach President Trump twice and impugning his character as being that of a Russian agent to now saying that Trump was right about everything because political witch hunts do exist, especially what Menendez calls the Wild West of political prosecutions in the Southern District of New York. Here he is making that case in front of a federal courthouse in Manhattan yesterday after getting sentenced to 11 years in prison.
Welcome to the Southern District of New York, the Wild West of political prosecutions. President Trump is right. This process is political and it's corrupted to the core. I hope President Trump cleans up the cesspool and restores the integrity to the system.
Are you going to ask for a pardon? Are you seeking a pardon, Senator Menendez?
As you just heard those reporters ask, there is rumor that the former Democrat senator may be angling for a pardon from President Trump. Though I wonder if the left had been successful in their lawfare against President Trump if Menendez would have been as magnanimous and would have come to his aid in any way. Now, I don't know the guy personally, but I doubt it. Like the New York Post said about the gold mine of hypocrisy, Menendez was found guilty of taking bribes, partially in the form of gold bars from foreign countries like Egypt to do their bidding from within the U.S. government, especially from his former perch as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, all while accusing President Trump of being guilty of that exact same thing with Russia. But after years of investigation, only evidence was found against Menendez and not against Trump. The left sure does like to project. And joining us now to discuss is Alex Zdan, a GOP political strategist and a former New Jersey candidate for the U.S. Senate. Alex, thanks for being back tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kara, and welcome to New Jersey, where corruption and hypocrisy are always on full display.
I mean, I would laugh if it wasn't so serious, but it is quite funny, right? But do you think 11 years fits the crime on this?
In fact, I think it might be a little too soft in this particular crime. Bob Menendez was convicted of blatant corruption, enriching himself and his wife to benefit countries who are not friends of the United States of America, Qatar, and Egypt. The senator has every right to appeal this case, and there are some issues that we can talk about that are question marks behind the senator's conviction. But Bob Menendez has always claimed that he's stood tall, that he's fought the good fight, that he's battled bosses and stood up to dictators. And there he was yesterday, a simpering, crying weakling, desperately asking President Trump for a pardon. Sad to see, Kara.
It really is. And I mean, this man was so powerful in D.C. It's hard to imagine that he had no clue what was going on, right? That, wow, these foreign dictators and others, they all just like giving him money and for absolutely no reason at all, right? So it's hard to kind of play the naive card at this point. But as you talked about, he has 11 years. His lawyer wanted less than 10 so that he would stay out of a maximum security prison. I think he's supposed to report in June. But as you also mentioned, he is trying to appeal. Do you think the appeals process may work out for him in any way?
Well, I think, first of all, that it's pretty normal in cases like this that defendants remain free as their appeals are being taken up by higher courts. So I think that if the higher courts do decide to take a look at this case, he'll stay free pending those appeals. The goal is probably for Menendez's team to get this to the Supreme Court, because I will give the senator this. There is the constitutional clause about speech and debate saying that the speech and debate of members of the U.S. Congress is protected as constitutional. That was an issue that came up in the trial, but was not fully explored because of some rulings by the judge. That's a question that the Supreme Court could definitely rule on, and I don't know which way they would go on that.
I know the judge in this case was quite open in saying that, Senator Bob Menendez, that you were corrupt, that you've become corrupted. He kind of really homed in on that one. But again, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's hard to say with Menendez now trying to play more of the naive card. Like you said, we did see him crying. And I have to say, I know I've never been a fan of the man's politics, right? But I guess maybe that's just the woman side of me. It makes me sad to see. I hate seeing anyone like that. But also, I think back to what he said about President Trump. He said the exact same things. And I think if it was President Trump, who wasn't back in the White House but was instead facing time behind bars. And if Menendez was the one free as a bird in D.C., I don't know. I don't think Democrats would be quite so magnanimous. But, you know, you have a lot of insight into this case, right? Because you've interviewed Menendez, but you've also run against him. So does that give you some unique insight, perhaps, into how he operates in New Jersey, and basically to this case as a whole?
Yes, I mean, Kara, your emotion is not misplaced. The way I look at it, as this is a terrible waste of intellect and talent. Senator Menendez, intellectually, is absolutely no doubt about it, a brilliant man. And Senator Menendez could have used those talents in the United States Senate to make the world more peaceful and the United States more prosperous. And instead, he decided that he was the one who should prosper, that his family is the one who should prosper. I'll also point out that Bob Menendez was not just feared in Washington. Bob Menendez was feared in New Jersey. He was feared by members of his own party who caved and did not stand up to him after his trial, his first trial in 2017, ended in a hung jury. I'm not saying they deserve any gold medals or blue ribbons, but it's clear that the man had power and the man was willing to exact revenge if need be. He is a powerful man that has been toppled by his own greed and his own hubris. That is a tragedy, but I don't think it necessarily requires our sympathy.
No, I think you're exactly right on that one. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned, right? Especially when it comes to power and how it can corrupt absolutely when it's absolute power. And, you know, acting in such a way, like you said, it doesn't win you any friends, especially in the end. And then it leaves you high and dry. I know several of his buddies in this ring have gone down for 7 or 8 years. I know his wife now, her trial is going to be starting, I think, in March. So perhaps we'll have you back on for that one to see how that turns out. But Alex, thanks for joining us tonight. We're out of time.